Yeah, thank you very much, Victor. And well, it's always such a great pleasure to open a Zabbix Summit, to see so many Zabbixers in one room. And I think it's always a great opportunity for all of us to learn more about Zabbix, to learn more about monitoring, observability in general, because there are so many smart guys in the room. We can learn a lot, and we, as Zabbix, as a company as well. So today, I would like to talk about kind of the current state of Zabbix and where we are going. I would like to give you a little bit more strategic view. Of course, I'll talk about some features and functionality of Zabbix, but I would like to answer some questions maybe about the future of Zabbix. So first, yeah, so at this moment, there are so many different companies from different industries, like, I don't know, chemistry, agriculture, aerospace, travel, banking, finance, and many companies. Of course, they all rely on infrastructure, IT infrastructure technologies, OT, operating technology. And of course, actually, I just remember the first day of Zabbix and how Zabbix started. When I was a system administrator, I was take care about my business, a smaller business of different Unix machines, Oracle databases, DB2 databases. And I really always was asking the question, is my business up and running? Yeah, the systems I'm responsible for up and running, performant enough, and so on. And actually, on different levels in our companies, people are asking exactly the same question. Do we work efficient enough? Are we where we are in the journey to operational excellence? Yeah. So do we do our work efficient enough? And of course, we need some tool. We need someone from the outside to look and answer this question. And that's exactly what Zabbix is doing. So we really define our mission like helping businesses deliver flawless services, produce high-quality products for a better world and happier people. Actually, Zabbix, of course, you may say, okay, Zabbix is a monitoring tool. How do we help businesses? And we help a lot. Yeah, we really produce a tool, a software, a piece of software that constantly verifies that the work we do on the different levels, especially in IT infrastructure, OT, everything is working well, and it's available, and it has a good performance. And we can measure different metrics like a quality, like a performance, like a speed, whatever, anything we can do. And the way how we look at our product, of course. So Zabbix, you know it. So Zabbix is a free and open source enterprise level monitoring solution, and universal monitoring solution. And that's what we are building. And looking in the future, I really see Zabbix a tool, kind of an ultimate monitoring and observability tool, which covers many different aspects. It should cover the whole stack of IT technologies, OT technologies. I think Zabbix, it really needs to be extremely adaptable, and that's why with every new release, we're introducing some kind of more flexibility. We're adding some small things that make Zabbix more flexible on the different levels. And of course, we want to make a tool, we want to make a product which is affordable and available to everyone with the lowest total cost of ownership possible. And I'm not talking about kind of a license fees. So obviously, Zabbix is free and open source. There are no license fees involved. That's one thing. But I'm talking about some other things as well. I will speak about this in more details later on. And of course, I want Zabbix to have also some machine learning, artificial intelligence capabilities, so that it will give us, it will learn from what it's, because in Zabbix we have tons of data, you have lots of information to learn from, and this information needs to be used, well, again, in a very efficient way. So, yeah, today I will talk more about kind of strategic directions or strategic vectors of Zabbix development, so that we can all understand why the decisions we are making now, why we are making those decisions, and how they may affect the future product of Zabbix. So, yeah, staying open source. I think from the very beginning it was, well, it's DNA of Zabbix. We have free and open source software. Nowadays, obviously, you can see that some companies become much more protective, yeah? Some companies announce maybe some cloud-only strategy, removing on-prem, moving the product totally to the cloud, providing it as a SaaS-only solution. Some companies are changing licenses to protect themselves from a big guys, big public clouds, for example. Yeah. So, but we at Zabbix, we want Zabbix to stay free and open source. Yeah. We don't have any intention, or we don't have any plans to, I don't know, to turn Zabbix into open core product, or I don't know, to introduce closed source products. Everything we do in Zabbix right now, 100%, is a free and open source. Yeah. So, and we continue to do so. Thank you. Yeah, and another thing which I believe is very important, I've been talking about this over and over. It's about the freedom. Yeah, that's we really trying to give as much freedom to our users as possible. So, if you want to deploy Zabbix on-prem, no problem. You want to deploy Zabbix in the cloud, no problem. You want to use Zabbix for one use case or another case, it doesn't matter. We give you a tool, and you think how you can use this tool, or you can extend this tool. Sustainability. So nowadays, many companies, and you can hear it from, I don't know, everywhere, social media, TV, okay, we want to be sustainable, and so on. But I understand sustainability as ability to make right long-term decisions, yeah? It's not about kind of making short-term decisions to gain some value right now, today, to get some earnings maybe, or some financial benefits, but it's more about being more, to put more wisdom in your decisions. And I think we as Zabbix, as a company, and as a product, we are doing all our best to make sure that the decisions we are making right now, I'm talking about maybe some architectural decisions if you are talking about the product, or maybe some business decisions which when we think about what kind of services we provide to our users, or maybe when we discuss with partners how we can cooperate better. So we always are thinking in the long term. We are not the company who tries to make a very quick short-term decisions. And yeah, and the way how we sustain and develop and able to grow a bigger company, and thus a better product, because a better product requires resources, yeah, and we are the company, a financial company, and the way how we do it, we deliver commercial services, obviously, yeah, for end users or for MSPs, companies, and with the help of our team or the network of our partners. At this moment, we have more than 250 partners all over the world, and I'm very grateful to our partners for your trust, for long-term cooperation. And it's really, again, it's been in the DNA of Zabbix almost from the day one. Yeah, just 2 days ago, I tried to remember when we introduced a partnership program, and we introduced our partnership program 6 months after the company Zabbix was established. Yeah, so in 2005, in April, we established the Zabbix company. In 2005, in October, the first partnership program was published on our website. So it's the cooperation with the partners. It's very much our kind of strategic value, and I'm very, very grateful for this. And of course, Zabbix team is growing over time. And company, well, and financially, we've been profitable from day one with a growth rate of about 20, 25, 30% over the years. And at this moment, we have more than 150 people working full-time in Zabbix in the different regions of the world. And this year, I'm very happy to announce that we opened another subsidiary in Mexico, in a Mexico City, to serve better as a Spanish-speaking LATAM users. Very happy about it. So what's next? Yeah, so Zabbix is all-in-one platform. Again, it's not something new, but I believe it's really, really important, yeah, so that you, as a user of Zabbix, you install our tool, you install Zabbix, and it gives you immediate, I don't know, value, yeah, and it gives you everything to actually to start the monitoring immediately. And I think the real power of Zabbix is that it implements a very simple yet extremely powerful pattern. So pattern is very simple. We collect data, then we analyze data, then we react to the findings, and we visualize this data. Actually, it's very simple. Actually, that's how humans work to some extent. Yeah, we kind of observing things, then we're analyzing some information, then we doing some actions, or maybe we don't do anything. It's our decision. Yeah, so, and in Zabbix there are many kind of powerful concepts like Zabbix agents, for example. We all used to Zabbix agent, but they're very, very powerful. They support push-pull methods, they support so many different security-related things. They're extremely flexible, they can be limited if you're talking about the monitoring of very kind of sensitive environment, so you can limit the capabilities of Zabbix and so on. Proxies. Proxies also an extremely powerful thing, especially for those who are interested in edge computing. So edge computing is all about making well, operations more efficient, so that you don't collect all data or do all processing in one central location, but instead you are trying to make processing as closer to the data source as you can. Yeah. And the proxies actually deliver the edge computing, so that if you have some remote data center, you install a proxy there, and proxy does some work. Not everything, but some work as data collection, as pre-processing. And pre-processing sometimes can be very, very heavy operation, especially when we are talking about working with some structured data like JSON, XML, whatever. Yeah? Yeah, we do provide API, we do provide anomaly detection, auto-remediation function, and so on. But the most important part is that this pattern, data collection, analysis of data, problem detection, reaction visualization, it's a very powerful concept, and I think it can be applied not necessarily to monitoring and observability, but also to some other use cases in the future. Yeah, so Zabbix, I think in the future it will not be limited only to monitoring observability. Maybe we'll find some other uses of Zabbix. So again, Zabbix can monitor, and we are doing all our best. So Zabbix can do monitoring of all things from the very low level, like a hardware, IoT, sensors, maybe some environmental monitoring, whatever, up to a very high level of the business monitoring, maybe application monitoring, and Kubernetes, and the cloud services, basically anything. Of course, we are not good enough at this moment in some things, like, for example, APM, yeah? I know I'm having many discussions with you guys, and it's a very, very kind of frequent request. Okay, we want Zabbix to support application performance monitoring with maybe support of tracing and so on, and it is coming. Yeah, it is coming. So yeah, every year, every month, we improve our templates, we improve our integrations. That's why we have an integration team in Zabbix. And I'm very happy that at this moment we cover monitoring of public clouds, and we also extend our templates to kind of a more business use, like the Cost Explorer templates for public clouds. Yeah, and we just announced the Cost Explorer templates for AWS services. So yeah, I'd like to encourage you to have a look, yeah, because it's not about kind of IT infrastructure monitoring, yeah, anymore. It's more about monitoring of the finance, how much you spend on AWS resources like EC2, RDS, and many other resources. So it really helps from the day one to observe. Okay, what is my budget? How much I'm spending? And maybe you can find, looking at these numbers, you can find very quickly how to save your money. Quality and security. Again, this is also a very important topic. And quality, security is basically is the quality. So if you have a high quality product, you solve maybe 50% of a security. But of course, you need to implement some security-related functionality in Zabbix. And by security, I understand this kind of the product delivery pipeline in Zabbix, how we work, how we produce our software with the independent QA, with independent code review, with security analysis. We use with the tools like for static code analysis, for dynamic code analysis. We all do it. But also, it's about features which are included into a product. Yeah, I think you know all this. You all know this diagram. I don't want to go deep into details, but what's important here is in Zabbix, actually on absolutely all levels, we build many features and functionality which is aimed to increase the security of Zabbix product, of the monitoring of observability. So that is really, really important. Starting from transport level to, I don't know, to the way how we work with API, user roles, and many other things. Yeah, so that is really important, and it again gives our users a freedom to use Zabbix in kind of highly sensitive environments when you have a very strict, maybe compliance rules, yeah? So that is really important. And remember that Zabbix source code is freely available, so everyone is absolutely free to do various security audits. And I have to say that we never collected any information out of Zabbix installation. We don't have any built-in telemetry. Zabbix doesn't ping, I don't know, zabbix.com for some reason. Yeah, so we don't do it, yeah? And we are free to make sure that it's indeed true, yeah? So Zabbix as a company was certified. ISO, we've got ISO 2701 certificate at the end of the last year. We continue to have a very fruitful cooperation with the HackerOne. The HackerOne is our partner who is a platform that provides access to a very experienced security engineers and so-called white hackers who are trying to find different security-related issues in your product, to find some different vulnerabilities, different things, yeah? And we announced the bug bounty program, I think 2 years ago, and every year those guys are reporting some things that we fix very quickly. And I think this year So far, we paid about $16,000 to independent security researchers, yeah? And it really gives us a little bit more confidence that it's not only us who look at Zabbix, who are trying to improve the security of Zabbix, but we have an independent party who also tries to make sure that Zabbix is secure. And of course, all those findings are publicly available on our website. Well, single pane of glass. So speaking about the strategy, I think this is one of the key vectors where we are moving to. Again, we want to make sure that Zabbix can be kind of a central part of your, IT, OT infrastructure, and it will give you all capabilities so you can see clearly, and it will give you the highest level of transparency so you can see clearly what's happening, what's going on in your infrastructure, in your company, on many different levels. And of course, visualization is super important, yeah? Because we want to, again, Zabbix collects information in so many different ways, and we want this information to be human readable. So text is really hard to understand. Is really hard to understand what's going on. But if it's visualized in a great way, then it's really much more digestible. And in 7.0, there are many changes that really brings a visualization to the next level. Yeah. So 7.0, it's our next release. We are working right now. It's LTS release, so it's super important to us to make it as stable as possible. Yet we want to include many great features there. So yeah, so what changes I'm talking about? So all widgets can be used everywhere. For host dashboards, for global dashboards, it doesn't matter. Also, we are implementing a development framework for widgets. So independent developers can improve visualization capabilities of Zabbix by introducing new widgets. We are also making widgets, how to say, more and dashboards more dynamic by introducing so-called widgets navigators, yeah? What does it mean? It means that, for example, you may have, I don't know, list of host groups, yeah, like a widgets. You click on a host group, then you see all the list of hosts of the host group. You click on a host, you see, I don't know, problems of the host. You click on a problem, and you see, for example, some problem-related information. So it really gives a great capabilities to build a highly dynamic and custom dashboards. Yeah, so that is, I think, I think it will be a game changer because at the end it will allows us to build custom UIs in Zabbix. So whatever UI you can imagine in Zabbix for your specific use case, okay, you can build it in Zabbix using a set of predefined widgets. So yeah, and what we are doing right now, of course, we are working on introduction of some core widgets like pie chart, donut charts, gauge charts. It's already available in alpha. And yeah, they may sound like something very core, something very basic, but in reality, we are trying to put as much flexibility as possible into those widgets. Reporting, so the capacity reporting, it would be possible to define some very precise time periods, absolute time periods like January, February, March, whatever, so that you can build, for example, capacity report, kind of 1 year capacity report, then you can see numbers for January, February, March, and so on. So you can see clearly what's a resource utilization, for example, in a graphical way or maybe in a text, in a tabular form, yeah? Yeah, there will be many widget navigators, and nearly all existing widgets which we have now, they can also be used as navigators, like a map, okay? So for example, on a map, like a geographical map, on a map you can see some hosts or devices in different geographical locations, and again, you see, okay, here in Berlin, I have a host with 5 problems. Okay, you click on this host, and then you could clearly see those 5 problems in the different widgets on the left side, on the right side. Yeah, so that is great achievement, and it's all just the beginning to build much more advanced visualization. Again, aimed to specific use cases. For example, speaking to you, I receive this request. Okay, we have a Kubernetes cluster. Now we have the template for monitoring of the Kubernetes cluster. But what we want to see, we want to see much better visualization. Yeah, we want to see how my Kubernetes cluster looks like. Yeah, so I can understand this kind of relationship between different components, or for example a VMware, yeah, or maybe my cloud infrastructure. So we are thinking about the ways how to using advanced visualization, how to visualize such complex structures. And of course, this kind of the topology, I believe it's super important. We really need to understand how one object is related to another object, yeah, and also display it using using topology information. Synthetic monitoring. Again, I've spoken about synthetic monitoring, I believe, for maybe 1 year, 2 years already. But now we are super close. Yeah, in 7.0, it will be implemented for sure. And synthetic monitoring is about 2 things. Basically, it's kind of multi-step checks, okay? It's not like one-step check when you're asking for some metric, like, okay, give me free disk space, or number of IOPS from RDS instance, yeah? And system returns you a number of IOPS, yeah? But synthetic monitoring is when you can basically script, you may have a multi-step scenario for monitoring. And especially it is useful for web application monitoring. When we want a user, when you want Zabbix to emulate a user behavior. So user logs in, it performs some actions, then we verify that the action is really executed and successful, and it does log out. Of course, you may tell, okay, but we have a web monitoring right now, yeah? But web monitoring is limited because we don't process JavaScript, yeah? But with the synthetic monitoring, it would be possible to basically to emulate a browser, yeah? If you're familiar with the tools like a Selenium, yeah, for Selenium, it will be very similar to what Selenium product can deliver. So that it will give us a great capabilities for end-user monitoring and monitoring of a user experience, but also this kind of multi-step concept, it allows us to basically emulate different scenarios, yeah? For example, a user does something in a front end, then we expect that we've got some changes in the database, so that we do SQL query and we verify that the object which was added using web frontend is really in the database, and maybe some file is created in S3 somewhere in storage. Yeah, so it would be possible to verify and to script very complex business monitoring scenarios. So a single pane of glass. Again, if you have a look at the kind of longer term plan, I think what is coming and what you may expect in 7.0 and 8.0, and actually the single pane of glass, what does it mean? It means ability to collect any types of data. And in Zabbix we are somewhat limited, because, for example, we don't collect OpenTelemetry data, which is useful for API monitoring. We don't collect the tracing data, or maybe at this moment we are not so experienced in monitoring of log files. But I'd like to change it. Yeah. So we want to make sure that Zabbix is able to collect data of absolutely any types. Any structured data of any complexity, and it's not only about the collection, for example, of OpenTelemetry data. Yeah, it's not a big deal to collect OpenTelemetry data, but also the capabilities to react to process OpenTelemetry data, for example, and visualize it. So that is super, super important. So a single pane of glass to me is ability to collect all sorts of data and visualize it in a proper way. What's next? Reducing operation cost. That's what I mentioned before. So Zabbix has extremely low total cost of ownership, but there are many things which we can improve and we can do. I'm talking about, it's not about license, sometimes you understand total cost of ownership is about money we pay for the product, but it's also about time we spend working with the product. It's about some kind of inconsistencies in the product. It's about time we spend learning and reading documentation because we don't understand how the product works. So I think that usability aspect is super, super important, and flexibility aspect as well. Speaking about performance, performance is also a big part of lowering the cost. Because if we have a high performance application, we don't need powerful hardware for this. And you know that Zabbix is an application which is based on processes. Yeah? So if you want to run more pollers, you increase number of pollers, and you can see more and more processes in your, well, in Linux. Yeah? So one poller, another poller, another poller, another poller. So starting from Zabbix 7.0, we made a transition. We are making transition from a process-based application to a thread-based application. And already some key components has been redesigned, like pollers, SNMP pollers, and network discovery, so that right now you may have just one single poller, which will do the work for the 1,000 pollers which we used to. Yeah, it's because it's just it's a thread-based basically one process, many multiple threads, and they're working with the network calls in an asynchronous way. Yeah, so actually one process is able to maintain and to manage thousands and maybe tens of thousands of connections. So it gives us much better resource utilization, yeah, and CPU and memory resource utilization. And what's also important that it gives us ability to auto-scale Zabbix in the future, yeah. So instead of fine-tuning number of pollers, discoverers, trappers, whatever, you just run Zabbix and it will auto-tune all the configurations, so you don't need to spend time on the fine-tuning. The faster front end. I think you all know this, so especially for those who are running Zabbix in a large scale, for large-scale monitoring, with maybe tens or hundreds of thousands of hosts, millions of items, millions of triggers, you will notice immediately that if you're super admin, the web front end is super responsive. Yeah, it's very, very responsive. If you're a user, okay, not anymore. Sometimes it takes 2, 3, 4, 5 seconds just to open, for example, the list of problems. And the reason for that is because of additional permission checks, which are quite heavy. But in 7.0, we found a way how to improve the situation. We actually will do some kind of a pre-calculation of user permissions, and it will really help us to deliver the same or almost the same, maybe we need a little bit more time, but almost the same speed, and it wouldn't matter if you are super admin or not or normal users. The level of responsiveness will be exactly the same. So I think it's a huge change. Of course, it doesn't add any functionality to Zabbix, but it makes Zabbix much more responsive. And those users, those customers who run Zabbix for large-scale monitoring, they will immediately see those benefits. Another thing in I think 7.0 or it's 6.4. Actually, I don't remember, sorry, anymore. But we are implementing in-memory data collection for proxies. So what does it mean? It means that it's possible, especially if you're running proxy on a lower profile hardware, like a Raspberry Pi type of hardware. Yeah, you don't want to introduce too many operations with your storage, because the storage is slow sometimes, and it creates additional benefits on operating system level. So that we're introducing in-memory storage of history data for proxies. So proxy collects data, then we reserve some buffer in the memory. It gets written into the in-memory buffer, and then directly from this in-memory buffer, this information goes to Zabbix server. And yeah, again, it gives us a number of advantages. If you run proxies as virtual machines or some EC2 instances or Raspberry Pi type of hardware, it basically means that the same hardware will be able to monitor much higher number of devices. And again, it means more cost-effective solution, and we will use less energy, basically, for those who care about the energy use. The instant configuration update, again, it's about responsiveness. It's about saving time. By saving time, we save also money, we save our resources. And that is already implemented in 6.4. And this is, for those who missed it, is a great change. Instead of you know that in Zabbix database, we keep all configuration in the database, and then Zabbix server, it reads all the configuration from time to time into memory. That's how it worked before 6.4. But starting from Zabbix 6.4, we implement kind of a very gradual distribution of configuration changes. As soon as you make a simple single change, you create a new item, update host, update item, whatever, this change gets distributed very quickly to all components of Zabbix. Yeah? To Zabbix server, Zabbix proxy, Zabbix agent, and just after a few seconds or after maybe 10 seconds, you'll see, okay, the data is coming. Again, it creates a much better experience for users and much better feeling of responsiveness from Zabbix. And centralized management of item timeouts, it's about, again, it's about usability improvements, and it's about making Zabbix much more flexible. So for example, imagine a situation, you have a single item that requires 1 minute to retrieve information, maybe from some cloud API. Yeah, you have like maybe some megabytes of JSONs. The JSON needs to be generated somewhere, and it may take, I don't know, 1 minute, maybe 30 seconds, 1 minute, 120 seconds, yeah? And of course, you need to increase timeouts, yeah? But the way how you increase timeouts right now, you go to configuration file, you do it, you do it manually, and it works on a global level, but not anymore. So timeouts can be managed right now on all possible levels, on a global level, on a proxy level, on item level. So today there will be talk from a Kaspar, and Kaspar will talk about these new capabilities into much more details. So it's not only about usability, but it's also improve the security, yeah, because we don't need to give some, I don't know, write permissions to configuration files anymore. All can be done through Zabbix front end. And zero-time upgrade of proxies. Yeah, so that is coming. No, sorry, that was implemented. And the idea is to make kind of a gradual update of proxies. So instead of upgrading Zabbix server and the proxies in one go, you just you can do it gradually so that older proxies will still continue to process, collect information, and send it to Zabbix server. So it's been implemented in Zabbix 6.4, and this is a great functionality. If you miss it, just have a look. And the great thing is that you can see the version of the proxy in the Zabbix front end. If you have some compatibility issues, Zabbix will warn you, hey, the proxy is outdated, only data collection and remote script execution is available, and that's it. Yeah, so you need to upgrade your proxy when you have time. Yeah, so reducing operation costs. Of course, so there are many changes which are already implemented and which we are implementing in the future. Yeah, so this transition to threads, and it's all to make sure that Zabbix is application that can be perfectly scalable on a vertical level. So the more CPUs, the more memory you add to Zabbix server, it will increase its performance linearly. Yeah, so that is about vertical scalability. But in the end, we also want to achieve a great level of the horizontal scalability. Yeah, so Zabbix, we put more and more functionality into Zabbix on one hand. On the other hand, Zabbix, I believe, becomes a faster and faster application with every new release. And complex event processing. So that's we are very close to it. The first implementation of the event correlation, the new event correlation model will be done in 7.0, and it's about root cause analysis and reduction of the noise. Yeah. Remember, we have introduced the concept of the cause and the symptom events recently. So the cause event is basically the root cause event, and symptom are just a symptom. And now it's possible to do this classification manually. So you manually can select events and you can mark those events as the symptoms. With the introduction of with the advanced event correlation and event correlation module, it would be possible to make this classification automatically. Yeah? And what's all about? It's about normalization of event, filtering, ability to use some time window processing. So for example, if you have more than 1,000 of events within 1 minute, Zabbix will generate you just one event. Yeah, so things like this. Or you want to implement auto closure of older events. It would be possible. If you have event or problem which stays for 7 days, it will be closed. It can be closed automatically. Yeah. So that is very powerful functionality which is coming in 7.0. So, and complex event processing, it's all about events. It's all about making events, giving events the same flexibility in Zabbix as we have for metrics. Yeah, for metrics we have pre-processing. For metrics we have trigger functions, many different capabilities how to deal with the metrics, but not so much with events. And we would like to change it. And the first big steps will be done in Zabbix 7.0. And the next, maybe kind of the next generation of changes for events is obviously enabling AI ML capabilities, mostly for correlation purposes, and also a collection of third-party events. That's what I mentioned maybe last year as well, but that is super important, that Zabbix needs to be capable enough to collect events. Not only metrics, but events in a different forms. So, and real-time streaming. Again, we have implemented functionality of real-time streaming in 6.4. Yeah. Now it's possible to stream metric data and events data in real time to different destinations, well, if you want, with a tag-based filtering. So you can filter events or metrics by tags and push those events and metrics to different destinations. Yeah, for, I know, maybe you want to push some events to Kafka, or you want to stream all your metrics to, I don't know, to some data lake, whatever. But then, in the next releases, we are also introducing ability to ingest, to process streams of data, to basically to push streams of data into Zabbix. So Zabbix could subscribe to some data coming from Kafka, coming from Redis, coming from, I don't know, cloud services like Amazon SQS, and process them internally. Yeah, and proxy load balancing HA. This is very long-awaited feature. Again, it's also something where we'll do all our best to include, to fit it into 7.0. And the way how it will be implemented is basically ability to introduce the cluster or a high availability group for proxy, so that in this example it's just 4 proxies. And if and we want to monitor this number of hosts. And then Zabbix will automatically distribute those hosts between the different proxies. So one group of hosts will be monitored by one proxy, another group of hosts by another proxy, and so on. So this way, and then if one of the proxy becomes not available, it's not a big deal, yeah, because Zabbix will automatically rebalance, regroup host proxy relationship, so that we will get high availability and load balancing out of the box. What's next? And of course, we continue our way to make Zabbix extremely adaptable and extremely flexible and increase this kind of universal aspect of Zabbix. And of course, if you look at the timeline, there are already many things which we do. We have, it's like agent plugins, UI modules, pre-processing, webhooks, different scripts for alerting, for data collection. We can stream data and events to different destinations. But then we want to make it even more flexible by introducing this ability to make your own visualization, to ability to build a custom UIs, ability to process events in all different ways you can imagine, and also implementation of the data ingestion, so the collection of a streaming data, and I'm talking about, well, any types of data. It could be open telemetry data, network devices sending to us, maybe NetFlow, JFlow data, and so on. And also processing of data of any type. I think that is super, super important. And actually, in Zabbix 7.0, we're introducing ability to process binary data. Kind of limited processing of binary data, but it is coming. So that is a great changes. And yeah, so again, if you look at the kind of a bigger picture, 7.0, 7.x, 8.0, again, as you can see, we are moving to what I can call it like kind of ultimate monitoring observability platform. We can call it like this, but that's really what we want to deliver. We want to deliver kind of the absolute level of transparency. So you use Zabbix and you see what is happening. If you have some problems, Zabbix will tell you exactly where the problem happened. If you want to drill down, you want to troubleshoot, Zabbix will have all capabilities and visual representation of data, so you can do it. You can do it very easily. And maybe last but not least, also I think at some point we'll start introducing some management functions, because to some extent Zabbix is a read-only application in the sense that we collect data. We collect data from different devices, for example, but we don't do much with those devices. We don't give users enough kind of management functions to manage those devices and to do something from Zabbix UI. I think the management functions will also be implemented. And APM, yeah, APM, I think this is one of the top priorities for 7.x and 8.0. Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you.